I'm going to give a Dvar Torah now, and then you can keep eating, and then take your time doing what you will.
Stop eating now?
No, don't stop eating. I'll just stare at you as you chew. No problem. It's really hard. Not much space. Okay. So you may be asking yourselves why we actually did this. I personally, after last night, am wondering why Deborah just didn't bolt up, take the money out of her husband's hands, and just run screaming freedom. But it was that kind of night. But nonetheless, probably I guess the when you boil it down to, it's because God said we have to, which is as good a reason as any. But what I want to try to do is make that even more significant because it's good, right? It's a mitzvah of Hashem, which is important. But to understand the significance behind it makes it even more significant. And I want to propose an idea and then add to that idea so that we can walk away with understanding one of these unique mitzvot d'oraita. It's always fabulous to make a bracha on a mitzvah like that. And not just like eating pirot, which is d'orabana. It's like shasher tzivanu is like really. Anyway, so enough of the editorial. So Rav Hirsch says, actually, based in Chorev, he says there are actually 3 types of bechors that you have to odeh, and there are 3 processes with which to do it in. So there's the bechor adam, there's the bechor of a behemah tahora, and the bechor of a peter chamor. Okay, with the chamor, you either switch it replace it with a seh, or you decapitate it, you chop off its head to do the redemption. For the behemah tahora, it goes as a korban. Right, it goes to the kohen, it goes as a korban. If it has a mum, it has to gesture. And obviously for a child, for a bechor adam, you trade the 5 slavim. So the shek kesef. So what Rav Hirsch says is, if you look at the 3 types of things that are redeemed, there's the people, the sons, the son that represents the family of somebody. There's the chamor, which represents, I guess, the property, like the karka, the land, and the immovables, while you have the behemah tahora, which is your domesticated, which is your metaltalin, your movable. So what it does is, what Rav Hirsch says is, encompasses all aspects of someone's life. It's a totality. It's the grand picture of what someone lives. It's what he does. So when he redeems it, he is dedicating all that he is to Hashem. And what are the redemptions? Either it's a replacement. You take it out of your ownership and say, I'm giving it to God's ownership. That's with the donkey. Either you replace it or you kill it, you knock it off. Or with a korban, you say, I'm taking it out of the realm of what it's usually used for, what I would usually use it for, and use it for God, bring it as a korban. Or with the son, you say, it's God's, he's really God's, and I therefore have to redeem it. Which therefore, within all of those different, with all those different processes, is an expression of understanding that's not really yours. That you're declaring that God really has overall ownership or authority. The only problem I have with that, or things that I feel unaddressed by that approach, is one, there are many mitzvot that express an ownership of God. You have Maser and Truma. You have Bikurim. Meaning a lot of mitzvot in the Torah is this expression of, well, it's not mine, Shlamim, Mincha, Korbanot, it's not mine, it's God. So what makes this so special? Meaning, why is this an also? Is it just another one, or is there something different? And I guess in that vein, if it's more special, then why are there those halachic limitations? For example, it has to be a natural birth, and a Kohen and a Levi don't do it. Meaning, what is it, if it's so great and it's so important, it should be all-inclusive. If the process is all-inclusive, it should really include everybody and in any situation, if it's that important. And third, it gives the reason in the Torah. V'hayaki shalcha bincha machar lemor mazot, talking about the kadesh li kol bechor. Your son's going to say, well, what's this all about? I'm not sure if it's the same son or not. V'amarte lav, 2 things. You tell him 2 reasons. 1, v'chozek yad hotzianu Hashem mitzrayim beit avadim. God took us out with a strong hand from Mitzrayim, from Beit Avadim. And Vayhi ki iksha faro l'shalchenu vayarog bar Hashem kol bechor be'eretz Mitzrayim b'bechor Adam v'ad bechor behema al kenan nizovech. Right, so there's 1 is because God took us out from Mitzrayim with a strong hand, and 2 because in that process, when Paro refused to let Bnei Yisrael go, he had to therefore kill the bechor, which the Bechors of Mitzrayim, which that second reason is really why we use the Bechor, because the first reason, again, should be a universal application to any kid you have, any birth that you have, you should donate and somehow express the authority of God, but specifically, because of the second reason, it has to do about Bechor. But what are those two reasons? Meaning, how does that lend that understanding to this mitzvah, as those are the reasons, Vayaki Shalacham Milcham Achar Lemor Mazot, these are the perfect reasons for the explanation. So the theme of Pesach, of the Yetziat Mitzrayim, of Exodus of Pesach, in general, and as expressed through Yam Suf, was this birth of a nation. Right? The waters, the corridor of Yam Suf. God, because Bechozek Yad, it was his forced hand, he compelled Paro to Vayigaresh Otanu, to expel us, and we didn't have a choice in the matter. We were all dependent with matzah, with the timing. God said, it's now time to go. Everything about Pesach is about God birthing us, creating us anew, which creates this relationship, this unique relationship of creator and created that can't be replaced, which is why the Aseret Dibrot start with Yetziat Mitzrayim. So therefore, when we are podeh our son, we turn around and say, on the one hand, we as parents just created our own. We birthed a child also. So he's really ours. So God commands at that moment and says, okay, but what you have to affirm through the redemption is that he's a part of a larger divine national birth. That what you did there, which is why ultimately we have the son in the end, is your own personal individual birth. But you have to understand it's in context of the greater national birth. And that's what we have to affirm when we do the redemption. And what about the second half? This Bechor of killing off Paro's Bechor. Back when Moshe was spending a little time in the hotel, as it turns out it wasn't the most restful night, right? God says to Moshe, tell Paro, V'ani achazek leva, v'amart el Paro, Ko amar Hashem, b'ni Bechori Yisrael. Tell Paro that Bnei Yisrael are my B'ni Bechori. Okay, and Bnei Yisrael is never described as that ever again. It's only here. And then the next pasuk is, Ve'amar elecha shlach et b'ni v'avteni v'atem en l'shalcho. And he refused to send, Hine anochi horeg et bincha bechorecha. I will therefore, God says to Paro, kill your ben bechor. So what does that mean? And why Bnei Yisrael called that? Why is that the punishment? We know that in Torah, God's punishments or rewards reflect the actions. Therefore, it's not only just a slap on the hand or just some extra cash. It's actually educative in nature. So what does it mean that God wants his Bnei Yisrael to leave? It has to be something about a Ben Bechor. And the culture of the times of the Torah, the Ben Bechor, he was the one that was the continuity, the legacy of the family. So if God is turning around and saying that he will kill Paro's Ben Bechor if he doesn't let his Ben Bechor go, what he's saying is what Paro is doing in refusing to let Bnei Yisrael go is in fact rejecting God's continuity as expressed in the world. Bnei Yisrael are to represent God, and if Paro doesn't let that happen, he's rejecting that opportunity. So if that's true, the second thing we're doing with our Pidyon is because of this, is this understanding. In the sense that not only are we affirming that he's part of a national context with the Chozek Yad, but we're also saying is that we're taking on the responsibility, the charge, to continue God's legacy through our son. That we're going to use him and guide him and teach him to be not only as he was born into this nation, but continue and represents God's legacy in this nation. And those are the two facets that I think lend ultimately the significance, because it's certainly not the sweet aroma of his nappies and the tsunamis that he launches from his mouth of wonderfully warm and dirty milk. So this I find hopefully is the significance and this unique opportunity, really once in a life, to do this mitzvah d'oraita. So there we go.